As I said in the introduction, Portuguese were here, Dutch, all of them, before English. So English protect themselves very well against sea pilots and other competitors by mounting these all round in case of attack.
This is Cape Coast, a coastal town in Ghana, known for its rich history, culture, and natural beauty. However, centuries ago, this area was central to a tragic period in human history. Come with me to explore this rich history. Cape Coast Castle was built by the British around 1665 during the height of the Transatlantic slave trade. Captives were taken not only from Ghana, but also from neighboring West African countries, including Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Togo, Senegal, Benin, Mali, and Gambia. Across West Africa, Europeans constructed about 66 forts and castles. Ghana alone had around 46, largely due to its gold resources, which attracted European powers. Standing before the castle's imposing stone walls, the ocean breeze carries stories of a vibrant past, great suffering and resilience. The castle is more than a monument. It represents a significant and painful chapter in human history. Its white exterior contrasts with the dark realities within its walls. Before the castle was built, the land was home to the Ogwa people, connected to the Edina community. This area was the main town of the Fetu Kingdom, an ancient Guan kingdom. A busy market called Ogwa thrived here, drawing European explorers as early as 1555. The Portuguese established a trading post in 1555, followed by the Dutch, Swedish, and Danish, each competing for control. In 1653, the Swedish African Company built a timber fort called Karlsborg, marking the beginning of the castle's history. Initially, trade focused on timber and gold, but rivalry among European nations soon shifted the region's role towards the slave trade. Cape Coast Castle changed hands several times, controlled by the Swedish, Danish, Dutch, and finally the English in 1664. This reflects the intense rivalry over the region's resources. By the 18th century, trade focus changed significantly, with the transatlantic slave trade accounting for 90% of business on the Gold Coast. Originally built for gold and timber, Cape Coast Castle became a major center for human trafficking. The abolition of slave trade in 1807 caused lasting damage to the town's economy. Today, however, Cape Coast has become an important educational center and hosts the biennial Pan-African Historical Theatre Festival, which brings together Africans from the continent and diaspora to reflect on the slave trade's impact. The process of enslavement began far from the coast. Those captured through warfare, raids, kidnapping, or extreme poverty endured long, harsh journeys to the coast, often chained together. Many did not survive this march. Those who arrived faced imprisonment in the castle's underground dungeons, known as slave holes. Enslaved individuals were branded with hot irons, marking them as properties ready for sale and shipment. They could be held in these dungeons for weeks or months, awaiting the slave ships. Cape Coast Castle's structure highlights a stark contrast. Above the dungeons were the governor's quarters, comfortable, luxurious rooms far removed from the suffering below. A chapel was built directly above the male dungeon, with some reports noting that worshippers could hear the cries of those imprisoned beneath. The Europeans came to the Gold Coast not only as traders but also as missionaries. The Portuguese introduced the first Roman Catholic Church, while the British established the first English church, the Church of England, now known as the Anglican Church. This Anglican church was built atop the castle's chamber.
So that's where nobody survived. So organized like this. It is a cell where no food, no water, no lights, no ventilation. The first door here locked, later removed, the second and the last. 3 doors.
The conditions in the dungeons were horrific. Male dungeons about half the size of a football field held up to 1,000 people at once. Female dungeons consisting of 2 rooms contained as many as 500 women at a time. These spaces had little to no ventilation, no windows, and were almost completely dark. Enslaved individuals were forced to eat, sleep, sweat, and defecate in close quarters for weeks or months.
Were the only windows for 200 people like us. And they kept them 2 weeks to 3 weeks, all because of ships. So some got blind. Even today, if you stay like 10 minutes, if you go out immediately, you cannot see properly.
The floor was a disturbing mixture of human hair, vomit, feces, urine, blood, and sweat. A composition confirmed by archaeologists who uncovered the original bricks. Visitors today walk over the remains of those held here, evidence of profound suffering. The air was suffocating and foul, making the dungeon deadly. At least 1/3 of the Africans died in these cells even before reaching the ships.
So British were not coming to clean the toilets. So the toilets started piling. It started from one level to the other to the other. Look at it carefully. Can you see the difference? This is an accumulation of toilets, urine, sweat, and other things. That is why we have fenced it.
It's really touching, like, to see the kind of things that people had to go through.
But on top of this dungeon, on top of us, British went to build a church. They go to church at the top.
Wow.
They will shout hallelujah. They will preach Bible. And that says that black people will be here suffering for them.
This is the church. It was once the church, the classroom, and now converted as children's library. Library for kids who live around this fishing community. We are looking at the underground passage. The passage from the dungeon. Entrance around 1834 was sealed. This is not the entrance. That is why you don't see any staircase here.
Enslaved women faced additional horrors, including a constant threat of sexual violence. This abuse was often systematic and went unpunished. European men justified their actions through a racist ideology that falsely depicted African women as inherently promiscuous. Women were frequently chosen for sexual exploitation, with some masters forcing so-called good breeders into unwanted relations. Children from these unions were treated as property, continuing the cycle of enslavement.
So the first one, condemned cell, and this one, the punishment cell. There was a door just like the first one with crossbar, but later the door was removed with food and water either once or twice a day through here, and the hole for sweat.
At Cape Coast Castle, there was a separate cell for rebellious women who resisted captivity. These women were given minimal food and water in an attempt to break their spirit. The physical, emotional, and psychological damage caused by this systematic abuse was profound, destroying families and leaving a lasting legacy of trauma. The door of no return is a powerful symbol of the transatlantic slave trade. Enslaved Africans, after enduring harsh conditions in the dungeons, were forced through the small doorway. It marks their last physical connection to Africa, their families, and their identity. Beyond this door lay the slave ships, beginning the dangerous Middle Passage to the Americas and the Caribbeans. This moment represented a permanent separation from their roots, cultures, and humanity.
So behind the same door, it is now the door of return. But inside here, as you can clearly see, this is the door of no return. The name changed from no to that. 1st August 1998. It was the first emancipation where two caskets, one from New York, the other one from Jamaica. The one from New York, the skeletal remains of Samuel Carson, an army officer. The one from Jamaica, Madame Crystal, she fought against racism. With the family, they were brought back by air to Accra. Accra to Port Amsterdam and Bansi. Over there, they did not use the road. They came to the castle the same way as they went there to break the chain of no return. At the courtyard, this is where they were welcomed, where they performed rituals. When the ceremony was over, they were reburied at the same village where they had the last batch before they were here. Emotionally, symbolically, it is no more the door of no return. It is now the door of return. To welcome the sender, to welcome us back home.
Today, Cape Coast Castle remains a place of pilgrimage for many in the African diaspora. It offers a way to connect with heritage, acknowledge ancestral trauma, and find belonging. Outside the dungeons, the inscription reads, "We are the children of those who refuse to die." This statement reflects the enduring spirit of survival and resilience that overcame immense suffering. The dungeon was meant to destroy lives, but life and spirit persisted. This video should serve not only as a tour, but also as a prompt for reflection and action. It should inspire support for historical education, healing, and justice initiatives. It should encourage learning and sharing these histories to strengthen our shared human history. Ultimately, the door of return represents more than a physical journey. It symbolizes a commitment to equality, understanding, and the resilience of the human spirit to overcome challenges and a better future.